here is the recap of the first season of Three-Body Problem. Suddenly, scientists around the world began to notice that their scientific equipment began to show completely different results than predicted by theories. Roughly speaking, some laws of physics began to work differently. The best scientists began to shut down their projects, and a few even took their own lives. The intelligence agencies thought this was strange, as there were some common details to these deaths. Most of the people who died seemed to have gone insane. They kept talking about some sort of countdown that they could not get rid of in any way. The head of British intelligence named Wade assigns Detective D.A. Shi to figure out what is going on and gives him all the resources to do so. Soon the man discovers that said goodbye to the life of a girl included in the so-called Genius Five. Then he begins to follow them. Let's get to know them. Jin's in the field of multidimensional physics. Saul worked at one of the largest Hadron Collider. Auggie started her own company making super strong material. Will's a brilliant physicist, but he only teaches. And then there's their best friend, millionaire Jack. One day Auggie begins to see a countdown in front of her eyes and thinks she is going crazy. Soon a stranger named Tatiana sits down and tells her that the only way to stop the torment is to close her science project. She warns that it is better that she does not know what will happen if the timer reaches 0. Tatiana realizes that Auggie won't believe her, so she suggests that next midnight she look at the sky. She does so, and with her friend Saul they look up at the stars. Suddenly, it's like the whole universe starts to shimmer. All the people on Earth see it, but Saul recognizes it as Morse code, which repeats the same numbers as on the counter in Augie's eyes. The girl doesn't understand how it's all connected, but out of desperation orders her subordinates to freeze further developments, after which the timer disappears. At this time, Jin goes to the mother of their dead friend and finds a strange virtual reality helmet among her belongings. An elderly woman named Wenjie allows her to take the strange helmet with her. At home, Jin puts on the helmet and finds herself in an incredibly elaborate virtual reality. She can smell odors and even feel touch. Soon her millionaire friend Jack also gets this virtual reality helmet, and the two of them try to understand what kind of game they are offered to pass. Roughly speaking, in this world constantly occur different cataclysms, that incredible heat, then the fierce cold, or even worse. Local people have learned to dehydrate themselves in such moments, and years later, when the era of rest came, the survivors rehydrated again. No one can predict these cataclysms. That's actually the goal of the players. The first level was to convince the local ruler that the cause of all the troubles is not some magic, but physics. The second level Jin and Jack pass thanks to the fact that they tell the new ruler about the causes of these disasters. It turns out that their planet orbits around 3 suns. It is because of their chaotic movement that cataclysms occur. In the third level, the main characters must calculate a mathematical model of the movement of the 3 suns. But Jin, being a brilliant physicist, informs that the three-body problem is not calculable, and the main task for the local ruler is to save people. It turns out that this was the solution of the third level. After that, the main characters are invited to a personal meeting with the organizers of this game. Meanwhile, Detective D.A. Shi reports to his boss Wade that they discovered a virtual reality helmet from one of the dead scientists and realized that this technology is years ahead of what mankind has. This helmet doesn't just show a picture and give a sense of reality. It also reads all the information about a person, and D.A. Shi assumes that some organization is recruiting people in this way. The detective interrogates Auggie and asks why she shut down her project. Auggie thinks the man won't believe her. But he shows her a video of her supposedly talking to Tatiana. It shows her sitting alone, but for some reason the cigarette lights up by itself. D.A. Shi believes Auggie. He thinks there is some kind of conspiracy and the people responsible for it have super technology that can not only mash up people on video, but also project numbers onto the retina and shimmer the entire universe. At this time, Jean and Jack go to a private meeting with the organizers of the game, where they meet Tatiana. She is very pleased that the protagonists were able to understand and tells them the true purpose of this virtual game. It turns out that in 4 light years from the Earth, there are 3 stars orbiting around each other. On the local planet live aliens. It is the story of their civilization seen by Jean and Jack in this game. Of course, they look different. But everything that was shown there is true. Their race, which is called Santee, long ago realized that on their planet they cannot survive. Sooner or later, some cataclysmic event will destroy them completely. So the only way to survive is to find another planet to inhabit. In fact, a huge fleet of them is on its way to Earth now, and will be here in 400 years. They found a way to communicate with some humans and made an agreement. Now their organization is helping Santii with some things, like recruiting new associates and also destroying science so that humans won't be able to stand up to the aliens in 400 years. Jack is shocked by what he hears and leaves, but Jean agrees to join their ranks. After that, she is invited to a big meeting of their organization, where she gets acquainted with their leader. We are taken back to 1966. China is undergoing a cultural revolution. Many scientists are being executed for their scientific work. What happens to the father of a brilliant student named Wenjie? The girl is sent to a corrective labor camp, but is soon imprisoned because of her views. However, because she is smart enough, Wenjie is sent to a secret facility where she has to work for the rest of her life. It turns out that the Chinese have created a powerful radio transmitter and send signals into space, hoping to hear the response of another civilization, but after many years have not heard any answer. Wenjie uses the sun as a signal amplifier, something no one has ever tried before. And after 8 years, she gets a response. In it, a representative of an alien civilization asks her not to send any more messages to their race. Turns out he's the only one who's picked up the human signal. And if others find out about it, they will definitely try to take over the Earth. Wenjie has long been disappointed in humans and believes that humanity's only chance for the future is to be enslaved by a more powerful race. So she sends another message into space calling for them to come and take over humanity. Also, Wenjie meets a man named Mike who is also disappointed in humanity. Years later, when the girl does leave China, they meet again. It turns out Mike has become incredibly rich, and Wenjie tells him about that signal from space. The man supports her plan. They buy a huge ship with an antenna, then begin to communicate with aliens. Tatiana kills Jack because he knew too much. And as usual, she leaves no evidence, thanks to Suntai's technology. Jin finds out about it and is met by Wade and Da Shi. They convince the girl to meet the organization and be a spy for them. At this time, we are shown Mike, the same millionaire who built a huge ship with an antenna, along with Wenjie. All these years, the man has been communicating with the aliens and organized something like a cult around them. He told the aliens about the humans, and in exchange, the Santii supplied them with information about what was going on, since somehow the aliens can see everything that happens on Earth. Mike tells Santii the tale of Little Red Riding Hood, as suddenly the aliens realize one non-obvious detail about humanity. Humans can lie. The Santii, on the other hand, are unfamiliar with such a concept. They are shocked by what they hear and realize that they can no longer trust even their worshippers, after which they cut off all communication with them. Just then, Jin goes to a meeting of organization, accompanied by a SWAT team. The SAB-T didn't warn their former friends about it, so the police arrest everyone at the meeting, including the old lady Wenjie. The woman thinks that if the aliens allowed them to be arrested, they have some kind of plan, so she has no problem putting out what she thinks is irrelevant information. However, Wade comes up with a plan to stop all the other cult followers on the ship, while taking all the data they have on the aliens. The plan is to stretch a special string created by Auggie out of a super strong material between the two banks of the canal. They do this, and the ship, along with all its inhabitants, is sawed into thin strips. The humans don't even have time to realize anything. Intelligence extracts a hard drive with all the alien data, and the Santii themselves allow it to be decrypted. It contains a file that the aliens want to show the main characters. Wade and Jean put on virtual reality helmets and Santii tells them their story. It turns out they are afraid of humanity, as the Earthlings are developing incredibly fast. Humans have developed their technology in such a short period of time that it took the Santii hundreds of thousands of years. When the aliens received a signal from Earth, they immediately began building a fleet to travel. However, there was a big problem with communication and monitoring. The distance was too great and the signal traveled was several years. So their scientists took a proton, made it the size of a planet, and created on it a supercomputer with artificial intelligence. Then they shrunk it back down. Each of the so-called Saphons was connected to its copy, and messages passed between the pair instantly, regardless of distance. With almost no mass, they can travel at the speed of light. 2 were sent to Earth, and their pairs are with Santii. It is because of the Saphons that the aliens interfered with physicists' scientific research, and it is because of them that they can see and hear everything that is happening on Earth at any given time. The Santii report that they can no longer trust humans and will never get along with beings capable of lying on the same planet. so they declare war on them. Then one of the Saphons turns around on the entire Earth and creates a projection of an eye that looks at humanity. The Earth is in chaos with the realization that in 400 years, aliens will come to our planet. But the governments are beginning to think about how they're going to deal with the problem. Throughout the season, we are also shown the story of another guy from the Genius 5 named Will. He's been in love with Jin for a long time, but he can't admit it to her. One day he finds out that he has cancer and only has a couple months to live. After Jack's death, Will inherits 20 million from him. The guy decides to give his beloved a gift. Will buys her a star with all that money, but doesn't tell her it was him. Of course, she has no ownership of the star, just such a romantic gesture. Soon the head of British intelligence, Wade, proposes to carry out a daring plan. He wants to send a man to meet the Santee fleet, who will fly there for 200 years in a hibernation capsule. According to the plan, the aliens will want to get the man to study him, and in the meantime, the man will try to send all the information about Santee to mankind. Wade realizes that the aliens already know about his plan, but the man doesn't care, as he is sure that the Santee will still take the man to their ship for study. After a while, Wade learns that they can't send the whole body into space, so they decide to send only the brain, hoping that the Santee will restore the body with their superior technology. Wade realizes that the best candidate is Will, who only has a few days to live. The guy agrees and his brain is sent into space. However, something goes wrong, his trajectory goes astray, after which the spaceship is carried away into the endless void. Also, Wade recruits Raj, boyfriend of Jin. He is a military man, and soon the man asks to be transferred to the space fleet, which is secretly being built on the moon. Auggie is still suffering from the fact that she was the one who killed hundreds of people on that very ship. She decides to leave her friends and goes to poor countries, where she uses her technology to help ordinary people. Meanwhile, Wade allows Wenjie to let the old woman go, as he doesn't see her as a threat. The woman goes to China, to an abandoned radio tower, where she meets Tatiana. It turns out the woman is still communicating with aliens who have a new plan to destroy humanity. Crazy Tatiana is not against such a plan. And in what became with Wenjie, we will never know. A few days later, one of the members of the Genius 5, Saul, almost dies in a car accident. He is instantly brought to Daeshi, and the man reveals that it was an assassination attempt by aliens. However, they don't know why. The clueless Saul is loaded onto an airplane and sent to a United Nations meeting. That's where they're announcing Project Wallfacer. With the Saphons in existence, it's impossible to hide any information. They are the perfect invisible spies. That's why it's impossible to make any clever strategy. However, there is one place the aliens can't get into, and that's the human brain. They don't know what humans are thinking. That's why Project Wallfacer was created. 3 people will be given unlimited powers. They can request absolutely any resources, and any of their orders will be obeyed unconditionally. The task of these people is to come up with a tricky strategy to destroy Santee and keep it only in their heads until the very end. In addition to 2 very important figures, Saul is also made the Wallfacer. The guy is shocked, as he doesn't really know what he's supposed to do. He announces that he is giving up the position, but everyone starts to agree with him, thinking that he has already started to fulfill his plan to become a Wallfacer. Saul exits the building and is immediately shot with a sniper rifle, but he survives. Turns out it was one of Sun Tai's followers. Saul despairs, but Daeshi, who was assigned to him for protection, convinces him to take the mission seriously. This is the end of the first season. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.